From the mud to the rise, yeah, we built it on the grind. Trench talk, real talk, leave the fake ones behind. We don't fold, we don't break, every move we define. It's the code from the trenches where the real ones align.
Let me take you back to a time when Chicago wasn't just about blicks and bars, it was about bricks and beef. Back in the 50s and 60s, Chicago was the plug for grind. Steel mills buzzing, meat packing moving, glass works booming. The city was cooking hotter than Harold's grease, and folks from down south, mostly black families, slid up looking for better paper. They touched down in spots like Englewood, Hyde Park, and Kenwood, hoping that smoking steel and sizzling pork would turn into generational cheddar. But guess what? That bread went stale real quick. By the 70s, industries started tapping out like they got hit with a combo. Corporations packed their bags, shipped jobs overseas, and told the hood, good luck. Buildings turned into ghost shells, landlords went AWOL, and what was once a neighborhood full of hard work became a war zone of poverty and pain. Now mix that with the racism of the era, red lines tighter than a Glock jam, banks acting funny with loans, and covenants that screamed, we don't want y'all here. The city tried to throw social housing out in the burbs, and them folks went nuclear. The message was clear, stay in your box. So what happens when you box lions in? They bite back. Young black shorties tired of getting jumped, ganged up. First, it was just a clique to knuckle up with the oppressors. Then they leveled up and baptized themselves in darkness, the devil's disciples. And nah, this ain't no Sons of Anarchy. This was Chicago certified. One of the top dogs, a young savage named David Barksdale. Barely a teen, but already moving like a general. Folks called him King David. That's the same King David that King Von used to shout out like it was family ties. By the time the 60s hit, Dave wasn't playing no more. He had the whole South Side under construction, piecing up sets under the Black Disciple Nation. But anytime power pop up, so do haters. Enter the Supreme Gangsters, a crew of young wolves led by none other than Larry Big Meech before Big Meech Hoover. One day, him and his boys staring out the window like, yo, we in the middle of Disciples and Rangers. Let's take the block for ourselves. Just like that, the Supreme Gangsters were born. At first, they was all about getting that paper, not worried about turf. But once David started fusing crews Voltron style under the BD Nation, the tension got thicker than a deep dish pizza. Hoover knew he had to squad up too, so he started collecting misfit mobs that didn't mess with the Stones or the Disciples. If you joined, you had to slap gangster on your name like a badge of honor. The movement was official. Westside was now gangster certified. By 68, it was up and stuck. The BDs and SGs started really getting into it. Ops were spotted everywhere, and Larry Hoover even survived a couple attempted send-offs. But Big Larry wasn't going. He doubled down and expanded the SG reach, stepping all over Barksdale's turf like they was claiming squatters' rights. Both sides were so heavy in the game that even the Peace Stones had to take notice. So much so that sit-downs were held, mafia style. King David, Big Larry, and Peace Stone honcho Jeff Thorpe tried to make a truce, something light. But as always in the streets, peace be fragile like dollar store glass. And just like that, the alliance crumbled like a stale biscuit. It's May '69, and the so-called truce between the Supremes and the Peace Stones gets smoked quicker than a loose square at a dice game. Two Supreme heads get clapped after some disrespectful eyeballing between opposite sides. No talk, just bang bang. And just like that, the streets got hotter than a stolen whip in a high-speed chase. Big Boss Larry, aka the man with the plan, links up with King David. They like, enough of this goofy shit T. And boom, Black Gangster Disciple Nation gets birthed, straight out of the ashes of that busted alliance. Now these two got one banner, one goal, run to Chicago, stomp out ops, and get that bag. They start sliding heavy, spraying pressure on every set that dared to side-eye him wrong. Then out of nowhere, King David gets hit while chilling in a bar with Larry. Yeah, at the bar, not even the trenches. But Larry ain't panicked. He played hero, scooped him up, and got him patched before the Reaper could clock in. Meanwhile, Peace Stones fumbled hard, again. In '72, their head honcho Jeff Four-to-Life Fort gets locked and turns into a prison preacher, flipping the whole gang's mission like it's Sunday school. While they out here soul-searching, the BGDN taking over turf like Monopoly champs. But here's where it all gets messy. 1973, Larry and his crew catch a stain on their own name. Some fool named Pookie snatches Cash and Yayo from the spot, and Larry orders the hit. The trigger man and another dude start snitching like it's confession day, and the feds come knocking heavy. Larry gets hit with a football number sentence, 150 to 200 years. Judge probably slammed the gavel like he just hit a home run, but Big L wasn't done. Even behind bars, Bro tried to turn the GDs into Fortune 500 savages, calling himself CEO, running boards on the inside and outside like it was The Wire. Respect. Meanwhile, King David's earlier wounds from that bar shooting came back to haunt him, and in '74, Chicago lost a king. R.I.P. to a legend. That left Shorty Freeman running the streets while Hoover kept playing puppet master from the pen. But that unity, it was hanging on by a thread thinner than a junkie's veins. See, the streets still loved King David too hard, way too hard, to let Hoover run things solo. The old war wounds between disciples and supremes never fully healed. People start jumping ship, loyalty divided like baby mamas on child support court day. And that's when Don Dirk, tired of Hoover's corporate thug gimmick, said, "Nah, fam," resurrected the black disciples as their own beasts. With Shorty riding shotgun, the BD versus GD civil war popped off. Ops weren't just on the block anymore, they was in the same cell. This wasn't no hood beef, this was family turning on family, blood on blood, brother on brother. Streets got ugly, pens got uglier. And just like that, the BD and GD names took on new lives, new looks, new symbols, new codes. But the one thing that stayed the same, that Chicago chaos, cold, relentless, and unforgiving. So next time somebody screams 63rd or BDK, just know, it ain't just drill music, it's blood, betrayal. After the big split from the unified GDs and BDs, the city of Chicago wasn't just hot, it was boiling over. The BDs started holding tight to that 3, throwing up the gates like it was a religion, while the GDs was repping that 360 like they just finished a full course in streetology. You had BDs rocking that triple finger pride, and the GDs throwing pitchforks like they was trying to summon demons from the concrete. And anytime someone flipped them signs, that was straight disrespect. We talking about BDKs dropping forks and GDKs catching smoke. But see, this wasn't just graffiti and hand signs. Nah, this was a full-blown war in them blocks and behind them cell bars. One side moving like corporate tycoons, GDs with boards of directors like they running Fortune 500 dope spots. Other side, the BDs, moved like a street church. Ministers handing out smoke like Sunday sermons with an AK choir in the background. Hoover, still boxed in behind them steel gates, tried to Frankenstein some kind of mega mob with the folk nation, linking up Latin hitters and renegades alike. Sounded good until all the ops, vice lords, Latin kings, and every corner they ever beefed with said bet and formed the People Nation. So now it's block versus block, nation versus nation, like a gangland version of World War III. Then the 80s rolled in, and Shorty Freeman came out them gates with Mickey Bull. Yeah, him, the one who walked like a pit and barked like war. They didn't come to play, they came to draw lines. Told every little soldier, pick a side, homie. Either you roll BD or you slide with Hoover. No in-betweens. And once them lines was drawn, bodies dropped like mixtapes. Quick, hot, and non-stop. Cabrini Green, that wasn't housing. That was a war zone in the sky. Elevator riding felt like Russian roulette. You either made it to your floor or ended up on a stretcher. T's and blues flooded the concrete. Heroin subs that had the block zombied out. Sniper posts, turf tags, and 8 violent crimes for every 100 people. That was just a Monday out there. By the time 91 hit, the BDs sent a loud message in a drive-by. 3 GDs dropped and didn't get back up. Retaliation, constant. Chicago streets turned into a shooting gallery. Meanwhile, behind the fences, Hoover's power was slipping. Feds wired up them visitor badges, catching his lieutenant saying too much. And Mickey Bull, that man Wild, got caught on tape allegedly trying to put a prison guard in a casket. Eventually, the feds got tired of the back and forth. They slammed Hoover with fresh charges, packed him up, and shipped him to Supermax. Buried so deep in Colorado, he might as well be in the Earth's core. That move cut him off from the world, his crew, and the streets he used to command. And from there, The GDs and BDs both turned into different beasts, walking the same blocks with different codes, same war with new uniforms. The alliance was dead, but the smoke, that never stopped. When them OGs like David, Big D, and Larry the Blueprint got snatched or faded into history, the vision they built crumbled. The idea was a brotherhood of hustlers moving smarter, stacking paper, and keeping the vultures off their neck. But once the big dogs left the yard, the pups lost direction. Chicago stopped being one organized chessboard and turned into a wild-ass game of hungry hitters. By the 90s, it was still war, but at least the underworld was a fully functional machine. The folks wearing that star, GDs, had dope lines moving smoother than a politician on trial. Whole complexes like Cabrini Green, Stateway, and the infamous Taylor Homes. Trap houses disguised as government housing. Word on the street? These boys was clocking 9 figures a year. That ain't a cartel, that's Fortune 500 with ski masks. Meanwhile, the Black Disciples, they had a throne they called the Castle. Whole fortress of Yayo and H. Word was, they was clocking damn near 300K a day. Big BD steppers like Marvell Thompson ran it like a mob movie. But here's the dark twist. Both sides was recruiting toddlers to carry out war missions. I'm talking pre-teens. One of them was Robert Yummy Sandifer, just 11, with a soul already tainted by survival. The BDs gave him a burner and a mission. Lil homie sprayed a crowd, missed his real target, and accidentally murked a 14-year-old girl. Now the heat was on. Cameras, news, pressure. And in the coldest chess move ever, the same gang that put him on sent 2 teenage wolves to erase him. His own brothers slid up, lights out, execution style. Did that solve the problem? Hell nah. The feds came through like it was the season finale, snatched BD soldiers left and right, even flipped high rankers like Robert Allen, who dry snitched his way into 21 new indictments. GDs ain't dodged the smoke either. Larry got shipped out, and the next wave of kingpins got caught like rookies. One even got booked with a literal ton of work. Whole empire collapsing like the Bulls after MJ left. By 04, feds dropped another nuke on the BD hierarchy. Marvell and his clique got bagged, and guess what? They was trying to clean the money through a damn rap label called MOB. Bro, they really tried to turn the trap into Motown. Even dropped a goofy record called The Charger Slide, a 2-step for the opponent's slide. You probably danced to it at your cousin's baby shower, not knowing it was BD propaganda. Then the feds said bet, swept the Robert Taylor homes, bulldozed the trenches, and forced these sets into musical chairs of war. No projects, no peace treaties. That's when BD and GD unity officially became a ghost story. Now we got baby-faced demons beefing over blocks like 63rd versus Oblock, STL versus Wick City. They dropped the big names and picked up local heroes. Oblock, renamed after O.D. Perry. STL, flipped to Tukaville for another fallen one. These sets was tiny armies with YouTube channels. Their anthems, drill music, the beat, a war drum. The lyrics, death threats with an 808. Cats like Chief Keef and Von made it mainstream. Duck from STL repped Flyboy Gang. Everybody had a flag, a fallen soldier, and a diss track that doubled as a death note. DJ Academics covered it like ESPN. Noisy made documentaries. And the world? It watched, fascinated, while real lives got turned into playlists. Chicago became the only place where a platinum plaque and a body count got mentioned in the same bar. It's the most violent rise to fame hip-hop ever seen, soaked in heartbreak, pain, and paranoia. Some made it out, some didn't. But hey, I ain't gonna dive into the modern BD versus GD saga today, cause if I did, we'd be here till Chief Keef retires. That's for another episode. So if you riding with this series, drop a comment, scream a block, tell me which crew you want to see next. This ain't just a story. This is gangland scripture. And I'm the preacher in the pulpit with a mic hotter than a Draco.